All right. Well, this is going to be a channel first. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Cards and Coffee. This morning, it's a beautiful morning. The sun's up and the birds are chirping. But the best part is I have the entire day freed up. There's supposed to be a big tournament tonight. It's been a while since I've been to a local, so I'm very excited for it. I have a few decks to choose from this week, so we'll talk about it a little bit later. I'm very excited to get into it, but of course we also got some gear we're gonna be rocking today. Hopefully we can get some minty B-roll, maybe get some good footage going on for you guys, and well, hopefully today will be a good one. But to kick things off in this video, I gotta get myself some coffee. Actually, I think I'm gonna make myself a shot of espresso, maybe make a latte or something like that. Very excited for today, and I'm gonna need the energy. It's gonna be a long one. So if you guys haven't already, please go grab yourself a cup of coffee or something. That way you guys can sit down and of course, tune in. Thanks, guys. All right. So I have a few decks in mind for today. First being the Halka Sword Soul Tangy deck. I'm not playing 60 cards, I'm actually playing 50 at the moment, but that's really only because I'm trying to fit a bunch of hand traps in it. I believe currently right now I'm at 18. This deck is so amazing at going second in breaking boards, but Scythe is still really relevant. So the goal is have all these hand traps to prevent at least Scythe, and typically the Tangies can break boards from there. Not only that, going first, this deck puts up an amazing first turn board, so whether I'm going first or second, as long as I don't get hit with Scythe, this deck is really amazing. The other deck of choice is going to be the Prank Kid DPE Adventure kind of deck. I really like this deck as well. I'm currently on 60 cards with this list. Since I'm playing the DPE engine, I really don't want to draw all those bricks. This deck is really good, and while it's not as powerful as the Tangy deck, it is insanely consistent, and when you're going to a tournament, consistency is always really important. I do have one more deck that I've been debating on bringing as well. I don't know if I'm going to do it or not, but I do think it would catch a lot of people off guard, and that by itself is a really big advantage when going into a tournament. So I'm going to shuffle out these cards. I'm going to see what all I got in front of me. Maybe I'll come to a consensus soon. We got to leave, but at the end of the day, if I do good, I'll give you guys a deck profile, and of course, if I don't, I'll find somebody who had a very interesting deck. That way I can profile for you guys. Since you sticked around for the entirety of the vlog, you deserve a profile at least. So I'm gonna fan through this stuff. Hopefully I can make a decision, and we'll get after it. I'll see you guys. Peace. All right, so we're about to hit the road. I had a couple decks that I was debating on, and in the end I chose something that actually, it was neither of the options I originally thought I was gonna bring. And I think the reason I decided to go with this is because I felt like people would be less prepared for it, and if everything goes right tonight, it could be very good, and obviously if not, then it could be really bad. but I'm still excited either way. We'll see if it works out in my favor. If people are prepared, then they're prepared, and if not, then, you know, it is what it is. I guess I'm gonna walk away with a W. So with that being said, I'm all ready to go. But I was gonna take the truck, but gas prices are so high right now, so I'm gonna load up in the Honda. But before all that, I got my dogs just eager to play with me right now. So we're gonna throw the ball around a little bit, and then I'm gonna hit the road. Well, are you done? All right, we're on the road. I'm super excited. I was going back and forth between what deck I wanted to play this week, and there's so many good options on the table. And that's one thing people love about this format, is about how many different decks you can bring. This week, I'm gonna play Floodgate Eldlich. Now, I know you're probably like, Justin, that deck has no ceiling. It's very slow, and why on earth would you want to play it? And honestly, it kind of kills me inside to be playing this, but I really feel like a lot of people at this tournament are not going to be prepared for it. Now again, I might be on some serious hopium right now, but I just feel like with everybody playing 20 hand traps right now, everybody turboing into Scythe, and the fact that, well, I get to play a bunch of floodgates, I think this deck is going to catch a lot of people off guard. Now today we're going to be playing at a locals called Area 51, located in Modesto, California. Shout out to Area 51. It is a great locals. Their price support is always amazing. Not only is this locals really competitive, but there is a wide array of players, whether it's players that have multiple regional tops, YCS tops, you have YCS winners, and even people who've been to Worlds who show up to this locals. So I'm very excited to see who all comes, because this locals is pretty competitive. Now, not only are we going to be playing a bunch of floodgates in the deck, and of course the Eldlich package, which is very standard, but I'm going to be teching Witch's Strike today, which, in case you guys don't know what it does, whenever your opponent negates the summon of a monster or the activation of a card, you can activate it and then destroy all cards on their field and in their hands. So since everybody's turboing into these Omni negates, whether it's Baron, Herald, or even the Griffin with the Adventure package, I have so many blowout cards, whether it's board wipes or floodgates, that's going to force these Omni negates to activate, just to be followed up with a Witch's Strike to literally make them go -10. If it resolves, it's game over. I'm super excited. All right, well, while I'm in this stop and go traffic here, I figured I'd give you guys a little channel update. While I've been a little slower on the production recently, I'm very excited because I've got a lot more gear coming in, new computer, secondary camera, and yeah, I'm very excited to start ramping up the production. Another thing that's going to be new is a lot more social medias are going to be created for the channel as well. So I'll definitely keep you guys notified whenever those start up. Also, look forward to a Twitch channel starting up soon. Not exactly sure with the approach I'm going to take with it, but I do know for sure it's going to be a very chill channel. We're just going to talk about decks, text, deck building, theory, also different ways to side deck, and basically a lot of the questions that people give me in the comment section of my YouTube videos. I'd love to bring those to the Twitch channel and then really just dissect those questions live and in person. All right, guys, we made it. Area 51, trading cards and games, right over there, Modesto, California. Let's go inside and let's check it out.
All right, we're all signed up. Got our entry pack. Let's crack it open. See how well we got. No imprint. Ah, break sword. Well, hopefully that means we have good luck in the rounds. So, the pack was bad, but, you know, round one's about to start. Hopefully it goes better than our little opening we had. Maybe it's a sign of things to come, but hopefully we didn't bring the wrong deck today. My fingers are crossed. I think round one will kind of let me know if my choice was correct or not. But I'm excited to get started. I'll see you guys in there. Peace. All right, so real quick, round one went pretty okay. Game one, I didn't open any engine, but a bunch of trap cards carried me all the way down to 150 life points, and somehow I was still able to win that game. Came back from 8,000 to 150. No, but in all seriousness, really good game. Played against PK. The Brave engine is very good against my deck, so I have to play all the floodgates to keep that engine offline. But luckily, it worked out in my favor. Round two is going to start really quick, though. Yeah, they're putting up pairings right now. Peace. All right, round two finished up. Game one, I played against Tenyi Sword Soul, which is arguably my worst matchup. Vashuda, Draco back, they're all insane against my deck, even with the Lord of Heavenly Prison. But goes in match hard, carried, it was insane. Oh, and Witch's Strike, this card's an FTK. Game two wound up having to be scooped up because Witch's Strike ripped out 8 cards in his possession. It was crazy. Round three, still a little bit away. Super excited. Undefeated. I think they're going to do 5 rounds, maybe 4. But hey, undefeated. And hopefully we keep it going. I don't know. Having a lot of fun. The floodgates are hilarious. And Witch's Strike, OP. Man, that was something else. We're back in the car, not because we scrubbed out, we actually topped. We got a nice little stack of Grand Creators in the end. Didn't pull a CR, and I'm sorry I didn't get you guys the round by round, but luckily I had a buddy of mine to go around and shoot for me while I was playing, but round 3 ended right at time, and then round 2 went into time, and then round 3 again went into time, and unfortunately for me, he top decked Valor, and well, I should have won, but that was time in the round, and I was down 600 life points. Should have won if I had like 5 more minutes, but hey, that's just how the time rules work right now, and really, this deck overperformed
insanely. We ran into a couple of different decks today. I think we played 2 PKs. We played against the Halka-Fibrax Tangy deck. We ran into Salamangreat Adventure, which is a pretty cool deck. I tested it out for a while. And then we also ran into Invoke Dogmatica, which is what we took the loss to in the final round. So it was a great day, great duels, great friends, and I'm starving. So I'm going to link up with some friends. We're going to go get some food. And for you guys for sticking it out through the whole vlog, I'm actually going to give you guys the deck profile of the Eldlich deck here at the end of the video. So thanks again for sticking around. If you guys are already subscribed, you guys are the best. And if you haven't yet, please consider doing so. Like the video, share it with some friends. The channel has been growing so fast. Basically at 2K already, only in this for, I don't know, 6 months or so. You guys are all truly amazing, and I thank you guys for all the support. So stick around. We're going to go get some food, and of course, deck profile coming in for you guys. Peace. All right. So that was a hell of a tournament, I'm not gonna lie. Well, in case you can't tell, it's daytime already. I got home super late and I just had no energy to shoot this profile, but I did promise you guys a profile. So it's the next day, another beautiful morning, and we're gonna zip through this profile, go exactly through everything that I played, why I played it, and hopefully by the end of this, you guys can see why this deck did so well last night. Let's get into it. All right, so starting off with the monsters, of course, for any Eldlich deck, we're going to be playing 2 copies of Golden Lord and 2 copies of Lord of the Heavenly Prison. These are really the only monsters in the main deck, and while it is pretty low, again, we had a lot of success with the lineup that we had. No, we didn't play Dogmatica. No, we didn't play any of the Inspector borders or anything like that. I really felt like just staying true to the engine was the best way to go about it. Plus, it helped not play into hand traps because, well, like the Dogmatica engine just asked for more hand traps to be live. Whereas keeping it simple like this makes it to where most of the hand traps in the game, outside of maybe Ash and maybe Bell, they were pretty much dead most games. Moving on to the spells, it was also a very low count. We just played the 3 Pot of Extravagance, the best card in the deck, hands down, and of course 2 Cursed Eldland. Now, I could have played 3 Cursed Eldland, but in the end, I really didn't want to clog up my back row, and I will admit, the games that I struggled with were the games that I didn't have access to the Eldlich engine, so maybe bumping this to 3 in the future is something to consider, but all in all, anytime I saw it, it was great, and even the games I didn't see it, it wasn't devastating. This card is obviously very amazing, but 2 worked out pretty dang good. Obviously, there's no reason to truly explain Extravagance, but a Pot of Greed for any deck is really great. I will talk about some of the extra deck changes I would make going forward because I did make a last-minute change before going to the event, and while it didn't cost me a game technically, you know, I think there is a better way I could have approached it. That about wraps it up for the spells as well, and for the remainder of the deck, it's all trap cards, and there is one trap card in particular that I've mentioned throughout the vlog that was really amazing all day, so we'll talk about it in a sec. First, I want to get through the Eldlich stuff. Starting things off, of course, we're going to be playing the 3 Sanguine, followed by the 3 Conquistador, and I only played 2 Haquero. This lineup has been tried and true and standard for a very long time, so there's really no question marks as to why this is my lineup. But I will say a 3rd Haquero would have been nice, not so much that the name came up, but like I mentioned, any of the games that I struggled with was because I did not see any of the Eldlich cards, so maybe making this a 3 of would have actually been better than making the Eldland a 3 of, because again, once I see one name, it'll slowly roll into the rest of the engine. Now, before we get into the meat and potatoes of the trap lineup, I want to explain the 3 copies of Witch's Strike, the MVP of the entire tournament. Now, I'm pretty sure this isn't the first time you guys have seen this card, but if it is, what this card does is, if ever your opponent negates the summon of a monster or the activation of one of your card effects, be it monster, spell, or trap, you can activate this card after the resolution, and then you destroy all the cards they control and all cards in their hand. I repeat, all cards in their hand. It's pretty crazy. Now again, this is a normal trap, so your opponent can respond to this, but with all the ways to bait the interactions, whether it's floodgates or board wipes or even Golden Lord's effect in hand, there are so many ways to just get your opponent to forcefully activate their negate, and when it's done, you flip the Witch's Strike and they go -7, or at one point I made them go -10. This card is crazy. At the end of the day, I built the entire deck around this card. Even if I didn't see it, all the floodgates and board wipes are very, very high impact and they demand response on activation. So whether I had this card or not, all my traps are high impact outside of the Eldlich stuff. And well, if I had this card during that moment, it's an auto win, and if I don't, still, the floodgates and the power cards kept me in the game, being able to grind out with the Eldlich engine. So for the first of the floodgates, we are of course going to be playing 3 copies of Skill Drain. This card was very clutch all day for me. Obviously, turning off effects is very amazing. There are graveyard effects like Vishuda and a reoccurring DPE, but again, like I mentioned, Hakuero deals with a lot of those problem cards. Not only that, it acts like a pseudo strike, I guess, where you can flip your floodgates or your board wipes, and then when your opponent uses one of their negates, you can flip the Skill Drain to push your other trap cards through. This card was insane all day, and there was actually a lot of times where I saw it too much. I found myself pitching it with Golden Lord quite often, but any game I had this sticking on the field, I won. And it's no shocker, this card's insane. Moving on from the skill drains, we had 3 copies of Gozen Match, which was insane every single time I saw it. There are a few decks that are mono attribute in the meta, but like I said, 90% of the decks right now are playing Adventure, so once they put their token on the board and they reveal that Griffin, you flip the Gozen, and most decks don't play Earths, so that token just sits there chilling. They can bring out the Draco back to bounce this afterwards, but again, you have to sequence your traps accordingly to consider that, because really, at the end of the day, there's only 3 cards this deck struggled with. That was Vishuda, Draco back, and DPE, and I saw all 3 of them throughout the entire tournament, and, well, I handled them just fine. Now, I wanted to play one more Floodgate, and I really don't like There Can Be Only One right now. It's a pretty decent side deck card, but in the end, I decided to go with 2 copies of Rivalry of Warlords. This one's not as good as Gozen Match, obviously, but it still serves the same purpose, where any adventure deck will definitely struggle with this card. Again, there are some types that will play under this, but again, I did win quite a few games with Rivalry face up on the field in matchups that really Rivalry had no business being in against. So like I said, the theme of the deck was just to make sure I'm playing power cards that required my opponent to respond immediately. So with those 8 floodgates, I also opted to play 6 board wipes. Of course, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Torrential Tribute, and I also opted to play 3 copies of Needle Sealing. Both of these were insane the entire tournament. Needle Sealing, I'll say, is probably the more lackluster, but that could have been a more situational thing for the game state. But I resolved both of them throughout the tournament, and every time it resolved, it was devastating. For the last trap cards in the deck, we just play a couple Solemns. Of course, we're going to be playing 3 Solemn Strike. This just helps push any card you're trying to resolve through. It also stopped Ash Blossom a couple times, which was very nice. And after that, of course, we're playing 3 copies of Solemn Judgment. I will say Solemn Judgment was a very impactful card throughout the tournament, but hindsight is 2020. I would consider moving this into the side deck, even though there were some game ones that I resolved this card. More times than not, this actually didn't stop too many power cards. The card was great, but not as impactful as I was hoping it would be. That's it for the main deck. I'm going to hop into the extra deck. First, for the Link monsters, I played the 1 Link Spider and the 1 Imduk. I would consider playing a second Imduk just for the fact that it's a wind. There were multiple times where I would bait the Baron negate, flip the Witch's Strike, or flip another Floodgate, clear the whole field, and then on my follow-up for the next turn, I'd make an Imduk, and then of course make the Wind Charmer, which I'll show you in a sec. And then when you have Baron and Golden Lord and the Wind Charmer, well, it's basically game. So it came up quite a few times, and going forward, I definitely would consider it. The main reason you want to play multiples is because, of course, Pot of Extravagance could banish them at any moment. After the Link 1s, we played a few Link 2s, first being the Light Wind Charmer, followed by the Dark, and of course the Wind, like I just mentioned, for the Baron play. All these have their purpose. Of course, your whole deck's light, so the light definitely is something that comes up the most often. Dark works with your Lord of Heavenly Prison, and of course, the Wind, like I just mentioned, works with the Imduk. For the last Link 2, I did play the 1 Vampire Sucker. She, in theory, is very good. It's more of a, I don't want to call it a win more card, but there are times where you can make this, get all your traps in the grave, bring back the Golden Lord, get a free draw. There's a lot of cool instances where this helps you get further ahead, and of course, it also gets your traps in the graveyard in the process. So I would continue to play this, and even though I didn't summon it throughout the tournament, I still think this card is very great. After the Link 2s, I did play 2 Link 3s, one being the Unicorn and the BLS. I did not summon either of these, but these are just more situational tech cards that, again, something you could cut if you either don't have access to it or just don't think it's necessary. But I felt like I needed at least one removal card in the extra deck, so that's why Unicorn was there. And of course, BLS can just win specific matchups at any time, so not being targeted is pretty crazy. It's basically a Dragoons minus the Omni Negate. I did play one more Link monster in the form of Access Code. This was a last-minute addition. I really did not know what I was going to run into today, and I felt like I would rather have a powerhouse in the extra deck outside of something else that I cut. And in the end, this would probably get pulled out. Again, it never came up, and you really just don't need this card. So in the end, this is definitely going to come out for something else. After the Links, we just play a few Exceeds. Of course, we're going to be playing the 2 Pallades. This just comes up all the time, being your rank 5 for the deck. Then we played 2 of the Gustav Max. This card is insane. I stole a game with it pretty swiftly. There was another game that I was supposed to win, but I banished both copies off my Extravagance. So again, a third copy of this would actually be something I'd consider, because most of the cards in the extra deck you don't really go into, so maxing out on some of these more frequent cards probably is the way to go in the future. Of course, we played the 1 Juggernaut and the 1 Zeus just as like tech options. Again, never summoned either of them, but the option was there a couple times. All in all, this extra deck was really solid. Again, a second Imduck or maybe a third of the Gustav Max would have been considered. I was playing 2 copies of Natis before showing up to the event, but I really didn't think there was going to be a lot of Invoked. But unfortunately, I played one in the finals, and we went into time in the last game. He top decked Valor and set and passed, and that was time in the round, and I was down 600 life points, getting my first loss in the finale, which was very unfortunate, but hey, that's just how the time rules work. A little sad, but it is what it is. Now, moving on to the side, which was probably the funniest part of the entire deck, if I'm completely honest. First monster I sided was 3 copies of Lava Golem. Now, the reason why I decided to side this was for a couple of reasons. In the end, I was going back and forth about what card I want going second against specific matchups. Going second against a DPE can be a little frightening because obviously you're going to set 5 and he's just going to pick one off in the end phase. Game 1, that's not really a problem because more times than not, they're going to just use it to pop the Scythe and then you kind of just laugh because they wasted their DPE. But game 2, they're definitely going to be more conservative and aware of what the heck they're playing against. So you want cards that are just going to deal with those cards. So Lava Golem not only being removal for DPE, it's just another easy way to pick off these other niche cards that might be stopping whatever cards are in your hand. That way you can kind of pick and choose what route you want to sequence your trap cards because Lava Golem just cleans up whatever problematic cards might be in your way. After Lava Golem, I decided to play 3 copies of Psyframe Gear Gamma, just the best going second hand trap in the game. It's just another way also to push through your trap cards to get them to resolve. After the Gammas, we have a few 1-ofs, of course, the Driver, you have to play it. The 3rd copy of the Lord of Heavenly Prison, this basically came in when going second against any DPE deck or when going first against any deck I thought might side something like Twin Twister or Lightning Storm. We also played the 1 Called by the Grave. This is again a great card at dealing with DPE. It also deals with Vishuda. After the Called by, we played 3 Cosmic Cyclone. I just felt like I wanted some kind of back row removal for this tournament. It's also really good at hitting the Pandemonium or even hitting the trap card for the Fluanderies deck because I really didn't want to set 5 and then have Ryza hit the field and put things back. So really, Cosmic Cyclone was just there for that reason. For the last card in the side deck, I went back and forth on this, and in the end, I decided to go with 3 copies of Anti-Spell Fragrance. I felt like this card offered a lot of coverage in the meta right now, and while there are a lot of decks that are very monster-centric, I still felt like this card answers a lot of the problematic cards in the meta right now. So while there are other cards I could have cited that are a little more high impact, I still felt like as far as coverage goes, this card covered all the bases I needed. So that's it for the deck profile, and that's it for the vlog. Thanks again if you guys stuck through the whole video. It's the first vlog for the channel, so I've got a lot of learning to do, but I hope it at least gave you a little taste of some of the journeys that I get to go on whenever I do get to go out and play. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. If you're already subbed, thank you guys so much. The channel is already almost at 2,000 subscribers. Who knows, maybe it'll already be at 2K by the time I post this video. And of course, thanks for sticking around. Please like the video. It really helps the algorithm. This channel has been growing really fast fast. And of course, I'm trying to grow it more. Keep an eye out for the Twitch channel. I'll post whenever I'm going to start that up. I'm very excited for that. And like I said, if you have any ideas of things you'd like me to do on Twitch, comment down below. That way I can get some more ideas, start brainstorming with the community, and yeah, just bring you guys the best content, well, for you guys. I had a lot of fun shooting this episode. Hopefully I get to do it again soon, and hopefully you guys will tune in for the next one. Here's hoping to see you guys next time. Peace.